Hi, I thought I'd do another video about tarot because it's entertaining me. It's another beautiful day here, so I'm outside. Um, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the deck that I use. So this is called the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And if you see tarot in like movies or TV shows, or if you've had your cards read, chances are it would be this deck that you've seen. It was created in 1910. That was the first time that the tarot was really kind of like set down as a sort of form of divination or whatever. And often you'll hear it called the Rider-Waite deck and not the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. That's because Pamela Colman Smith was a woman, and thus her contribution was deemed not necessary for credit, despite the fact that she was the fucking illustrator. So Rider was I believe, the publishing company. Waite was the guy who like set down all of the meanings for the cards, but Pamela Colman Smith did the illustrations and made them what we now use and the amazing pieces of illustration that they are. It's all very well saying like, oh, I want the Nine of Swords to represent depression, but like Pamela Colman Smith was the one who put that into illustration, into pictures to really kind of like tell that message. So she's a sort of unsung hero. So I like to call it the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, as many people now do. So the standard tarot deck is 78 cards, and they are split into the major and the minor arcana. The major arcana are the cards that you will have seen, like the devil or the sun, the moon, things like that. And the minor arcana is made up of 4 suits. The cups, wands, swords, and pentacles. Pentacles are like the little coins. The cups usually represent emotion, the swords usually represent thoughts and like intellect, the wands represent creativity, and the pentacles represent kind of financial things or material things. And then within those suits, you've got like ace, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yada yada, up to page, knight, king, and queen. So that's the kind of like standard deck. With the major arcana, it starts with the Fool, and that's the card I wanted to talk about today. This is the Fool. I don't know if you can see. So a lot of people think with the major arcana, you can kind of see it as like a story, and they call it the Fool's Journey. The Fool is card number 0, and he's the very, very beginning. And it kind of echoes the hero's journey, which is a Joseph Campbell. So if you've ever seen, well, of course you've seen, everyone's seen, like Star Wars, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, things like that. All of these kind of like major stories, major sagas, they follow a really similar format, which is the hero's journey. Usually there's the hero, who's sort of young and naive and innocent, having a great time in his little life, and then he gets a call for a quest or a purpose or something, a task, or perhaps like a hidden power or something that he had. Often he will reject that call at first, and then he will accept that call, and then he goes on a journey and he meets people along the way, some of whom will help or hinder him. Often he has like a mentor who will die before the final kind of showdown or whatever, if you're thinking like Obi-Wan Kenobi, Dumbledore, etc. Once you kind of know this format, you'll see it cropping up everywhere. And that's a lot of people think that the major arcana, the Fool's Journey, is a similar thing. So the Fool sets out on this journey, and along the way he meets the Empress, the Emperor, the Devil, the Lovers, the Sun, the Moon, and he's given kind of tools, or he's being challenged, or he's been given wisdom, etc. all along the way. Until the end, where he has this kind of culmination where he sort of has his true purpose. I think it's the World is the last card, I think. And it's just this sort of like full circle. If you think about it in films and things, Lord of the Rings, it's like the ring is in Mordor and in Mount Doom, and it's all, and then he goes back to Hobbiton, and everything's kind of shitty, and like it's this kind of bittersweet thing, because it's this realizing that the thing you were looking for perhaps wasn't the thing that you needed all along, or you have been changed irrevocably by this journey. So it's quite interesting kind of template for stories and myths and legends and things like that. If we look at the Fool card, so it's this young man. I say man, it could be man or woman, but I think it's traditionally seen as being a man. And he's setting out on this journey. He's got his little bust, little hanging bag, hobo stick thing here, with a few bits and pieces in it. It's a sunny day. He's holding this white flower that represents his innocence and his naivety, and he's off on this wonderful journey. If you look closely, he's about to step off a cliff, and this little dude here is like trying to warn him that he is about to step off this cliff. Sorry, that the sun is very bright, so the shadows are not working in my favor here. So this card is all about beginnings, and it's all about that kind of youthful naivety. It's the looking before you, not looking before you leap kind of thing. It's just the energy, that excitement of just kind of a leap into the unknown, a leap of faith. In this card, you could think about it that, what a stupid guy. He's not even looking where he's going. He's about to walk off a cliff. And sometimes it can be, you draw this card and you really need to think about places where maybe you need to plan a little bit better. You need to look where you're going. But other times, there's a lot of positivity in this. I tend to kind of look for the positivity in tarot cards because I don't really want to foretell doom and gloom. I want to look at ways in which I can kind of swerve away from the doom and gloom before it happens. But this card, I sometimes think about, like times in my life where I have kind of embodied this energy in a very like literal way when I decided to move to America. So I had a good job that I loved, and I'd worked really, really hard at it, and I was really committed to it, and I'd worked there 8 years, and I'd worked my way up through the company, and I loved it, and I loved the people, and I was happy. I had, a flat in London. I had friends, I had a routine. Routine is very important to me. I felt very kind of well established, and I got to a place, it was kind of nearing like 29, 30, where I felt really good about myself for the first time probably in a long time, maybe even ever. And then I met a man, and within a month or two of our first date, I was organising a visa application to go move to America. I handed in my notice at work. I spent all the savings that I had carefully kind of stocked away on shipping things over. I got rid of most of my possessions, things that were really important to me. My bike that I loved, that was this like symbol of freedom. It was quite like the most expensive purchase I'd made, and I was so proud of it, and I loved it. Left it behind. I just kind of like threw everything away and went for it, which was very unlike me. I am a planner. I am anxious. I want to know exactly how things are going to go. This was the one time in my life where I just went for it, and I don't know why. I don't know where that came from. It just felt right, and I did it. And I am where I am today because of that. I have a wonderful husband and a daughter, and I've had incredible opportunities and traveled and seen some amazing things, and I'm in love and all of that. So it was the right thing to do. I like to think that even if it hadn't worked out, it still would have been the right thing to do, because sometimes you just have to take that leap. And I'm right now thinking about this card and what this energy of the Fool and like this, what messages we can get from the Fool right now. We're all in uncharted territory. We're all somewhere that we never thought we were going to be, and all the like landscape around us has changed. All the rules have changed. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what tomorrow's going to bring? And I think sometimes the only way you can kind of get through those things is just to throw yourself into it, and also to accept the fact that the Fool doesn't know what's going to happen. He's just going for it. Maybe we need to cut ourselves off a little bit from the news, from our overthinking about things, from planning ahead, because it's so overwhelming. The news changes every day, the situation changes every day. There's very little we can do to change these world events in any way. I'm not saying don't like volunteer or help or do anything like that, not at all. I'm just saying like don't obsessively look at the news and think about what's going to happen tomorrow or in a week's time or in 2 weeks or a month, or like, is this thing going to happen this summer? What about later this year? Because we have no idea, and it's just going to like churn us all up inside, and we need a little bit more of this naivety, this innocence. Let's look for the good things that we can do right now, whether that's helping other people or having fun with our families, with our kids, spending time with them. Just kind of have a little bit of this like leap into the unknown, because the unknown is here. It's here already, and we either stand still or we throw ourselves into it and embrace that kind of chaotic energy and that unknown and see if we can find some good from it. Let's think about ourselves as children, because this card is very much like a child card, I think. it's this kind of energy of someone who has never had to think about like consequences or responsibilities. And one of the things I'm finding really hard right now is that I like to have somebody on authority tell me this is how it's going to be. Whether that's like the government, yeah, I'm a loser. I like to hear what the government's going to say to me, and also, or like my parents. And I want someone to tell me that everything is going to be okay, as if I were a child. But I'm not a child anymore, and I have a child, and I have to be that person for her. I have to show her that everything is going to be okay, even if I don't believe it myself. So there's this real kind of like collective loss of innocence, I think, for us right now, which is really scary and really hard to go through. And there's a kind of grief in that. And sometimes in some places in our life, maybe we can embrace that childlike innocence a little bit more and just try and live in the moment and have fun with it. So yeah, that is the Fool. That is card number 0. And I hope we can all be total fools today. Ugh. I don't know. I don't know if this is... I mean, this is helping me. I like talking about this kind of stuff. So I hope it is helping you too. If anyone has any questions, by the way, about tarot, please comment or whatever. You can let me know, and I'm also happy to do tarot readings. If anyone wants a tarot reading, I can send you a video privately, or I can do it publicly if you want, or I can send you an email or something. Okay, bye.